Hello, good afternoon and welcome to Election Brief. It's 35 days to the elections. And coming up in today's edition, 8 persons arrested in connection with murder of Mfantsiman MP plead not guilty to robbery charges leveled against them. We have details as their request for bail is denied by an Accra High Court. Also, opposition NDC accuses Electoral Commission of printing over 150,000 extra ballot papers with the intention of rigging the December 7 elections.
Have our booklets in 150, 25, and 10. So depending on each scenario, for example, if you have a polling station that has, for example, about 88, you need to add 5% because of the numbers involved.
We'll hear from the Electoral Commission. And as the December elections draw nearer, National Media Commission warns against attacks on journalists.
Let all of us try as much as we can to work with the arrangements made by the Electoral Commission. And when I say arrangements made by the Electoral Commission, I'm specifically talking about the electoral rules as set by law.
More as the world observes the International Day to End Impunity against journalists today. We have details of these and more in this hour. My name is Arba Kumson. Thanks for staying with us. Now, the Electoral Commission has rejected claims by the opposition National Democratic Congress that it is printing over 150,000 extra ballot papers in an attempt to rig the December elections. The Commission says it has had to review the numbers at some polling stations to be able to stick to the 5% requirement of extra ballots printed for contingencies. But at a news conference Sunday, the NDC accused the EC of deliberately keeping these details away from the parties in an attempt to rig the December elections. Manuel Coranting has more in the following report.
The Electoral Commission began the printing of the ballot papers ahead of the December election on October 26, 2020. Now, the main opposition party, the National Democratic Congress, is accusing the Electoral Commission of failing to present to it the ballot statistics for the printing exercise. Professor Joshua Alabi is National Campaign Coordinator of the party.
The Electoral Commission failed to provide the ballot statistics required for party agents to track the number of ballot papers to be printed for each polling station before printing begins. Meanwhile, in all previous exercises, political parties were furnished with copies of the ballot statistics before printing began. The Electoral Commission rather directed the NDC to receive copies of the ballot statistics from the printing houses. From the ballot statistics received from the printing houses, as coming from the EC, we have analyzed the figure from 13 regions and observed that there is an excess of over 150,000 ballot papers being printed beyond the extra 5% required.
Deputy Director of Elections of the party, Daniel Amate Mensah, gives a breakdown of their findings.
Central region has 23 constituencies. The total figure, in addition to the 5% for Central region, is 45,750. Averagely, 2,117 per constituency. In Bono East has 11 constituency. The total excess is 47,000. Averagely 4,000 plus per constituency. The question is, if a constituency with a voter population of 24,000 have excess of 7,000, in percentage terms, we are talking about 27.5%. I mean, it is just unbelievable. And the question is, you can't say these ones are mistakes, because when you look at the figures, the percentage are not uniform. They are deliberately planned to rig the election ahead of the election itself. Over 150,000. And we believe that currently we are waiting for the ballot statistics for Ashanti region and Western region. And if you look at the spread, we know what we'll be getting from Ashanti region will be more than those that we have revealed to you.
Well, the director of elections of the party, Elvis Ifria Ankara, says that all attempts by the party to obtain ballot statistics from the Electoral Commission have proven futile.
If you've given the statistics to the printing houses, give it to us. What is so difficult? What is the problem? You've given it to the printing houses. Give us copies so that we can validate whatever goes on. That should tell you that this thing was planned. And as my deputy was saying, if you look at the statistics and the way that in specific constituencies you see specific numbers, it shows you a very clear agenda.
The party is therefore requesting an immediate explanation from the Electoral Commission as to the reasons for these extra ballot papers that are being printed.
Now we are aware of it. So we want the EC to come and explain to us how come that we have these numbers, and then we'll take it from.
Well, the EC has been responding. Acting Director of Public Affairs at the EC, Sylviano, says the disparity in the numbers is not an attempt to rake the polls. She spoke earlier on the AM show on the JoyNews channel.
We have our booklets in 100, 50, 25, and 10. So depending on each scenario, for example, if you have a polling station that has, for example, about 88, you need to add 5% because of the numbers involved. In hundreds, 50 cents, we need to strategize and make sure that some may go a little above it. But it doesn't mean because you don't have them in the specific numbers, you have them in 50s, hundreds, it becomes very difficult to stick to the exact number. But that doesn't also mean that we are increasing the ballot. So that has been the norm this time immemorial. The bottom line is what I want the general public to understand is the fact that the political parties are there to make sure that they observe the process, to make sure that they capture the numbers involved, and also at the end of the day, when the ballots are being casted to the various regions or the various destinations throughout the country, they are given the opportunity to affect their seal, with numbers. So the political parties are supposed to know the number of ballot papers that are going to the field at each from each printing house.
Okay, now the NDC say that before the printing, you refused to give them the serial numbers and the ballot statistics. You didn't provide them with the ballot statistics and the serial numbers.
They are supposed to get all that. Now, apart from that, if you understand the process, if you understand what happens at the polling station, no ballot paper from any source can enter any ballot box. If you understand, and they are there through and through, they are supposed to be at the printing house 24/7.
Okay, so can you address the issue again? Did you provide them with the ballot statistics and the serial numbers so they can effectively be doing their cross-checking?
That's the more reason why they are there, to observe and know what is happening at the various printing houses. They are there to observe what is happening, to know the intricacies of what is going where. So, at each point in time.
I take it that, unlike what the allegations that the NDC is making, you did provide them with the ballot statistics and the serial numbers.
What I mean to say is that the NDC is there, not only the NDC, but all the political parties are there.
Yes, that's we do.
I haven't heard anybody talk about the fact that we are doing something on.
So one other thing, have they officially written to the Electoral Commission, because they say something that they have done?
I was going to say that if the NDC has a genuine issue, they believe they have a genuine issue. I believe that.
Now, flag bearer of the All People's Congress, Hasin Ayaga, has debunked predictions by trusted pollster Ben Epson, who had indicated that smaller parties, including his, will not get even 4% of the votes cast in the December polls. Mr. Epson said people would not spoil their ballots on smaller parties. However, this did not go down well with Mr. Ayaga. In fact, he believes Mr. Epson will eat humble pie after December 7. He spoke to Benjamin Akakpo on Campaign Trail on Joy Prime.
Now, I heard you say, Ben Epson says, the political parties, the minority political parties will not get up to 4%.
Yes, he did. And I was going to run that by you, actually.
Yes, let me put this on the record, that this time, Ben Epson will be disgraced with his analysis of the election of 2020. Let me put it on record again, that Ben Epson should look at the number of people who have registered in Ghana over the years and consider those who have been voting and the percentages of the NDC and MPP over the years. You realize that in the last election, NDC won got 4.4, MPP got 5.3. Now we have 17 and above million voters. And if we want to give the NDC the 4.4 and the MPP, let's say, another 5%, we are looking at 9.4 million voters. What happens to the 9 million Ghanaians who are out there and are not voting?
Are you suggesting these voters are going to be now voting for the smaller parties? This year,
Hasin Ayaga is pulling all these people out of their homes and is making sure that we are going to have a big surprise in 2020 elections. Don't be shocked when you see the figures coming. The figures will surprise you. Ghanaians are fed up. They want a change. It is not about smaller political parties or major political parties. It's about the quality of the leadership the presidential candidates is bringing on board, the kind of policies he's bringing on board, not the deceptive promises we've had over the years. That kind of policies and promises.
Well, Mr. Epson has been responding to Hasin Ayaga, and he insists his predictions will come to pass. You're still here on Election Brief with me, Arabo Kumsi. Now, with 35 days to the December polls, political parties are firming up their campaigns to grab more seats in Parliament in many battleground constituencies. While some former MPs are looking to take back seats they lost in 2016, second-time contenders are correcting their errors to make a statement in the December polls. One of such contenders is Ibi Bright, who hopes to snatch the Tema Central seat this year after losing by more than 15,000 votes in 2016.
Confident. We've worked hard, we've listened, and we're responding. And in fact, I think that Ghana is ready for the truth finally. Sometimes you need an opportunity for comparison. Nobody can blame you for making a wrong choice. But it's a popular saying, we say, first fool is not a fool. But 2 times, I don't think that we're going to make the mistake a second time.
Lost in 2016 by more than 15,000 votes. That's quite a margin.
Well, that's true. And that's true because 2016 was a very interesting year. I'm glad to have grown since then. I'm glad that my constituency has grown since then. I'm glad that the difference is clear since then. I'm glad for the opportunity to build trust between myself and my constituents. I'm glad for the opportunity to have served them even better. I'm glad for the opportunity to have refined my plans and my vision together with them. My campaign for 2020 has been christened the Rights Campaign because we have, as citizens, the right to good governance and credible representation. Apart from that, we must do things the right way. So I'm a very confident person, not only in my abilities, but in the kind of relationship that we've been able to foster in this constituency that should take us forward together the right way.
Now, let's stay on the December polls because the chairman of the NPP Council of Elders is optimistic of a resounding victory for the governing NPP in the upcoming December 7 elections. According to Hasan Ayaga, the achievements of President Akufo-Addo's government gives him an assurance that the fortunes of the NPP at the polls on December 7 will be even better than the results of the 2016 elections. He said former President John Mahama poses no threat to the NPP, but they will not be complacent in ensuring a second term for President Akufo-Addo. He spoke to MFA Apau on The Probe on the JoyNews channel.
If you were to examine what each of them, if you take them as individuals, have done 4 years and 4 years, not because I belong to an NPP, but quite obviously my president has done much better than my good friend He's my very good friend. We're all MPs together.
Yeah.
You know. And then not only that, when he was president, if the people of Ghana were satisfied with him, he would have gone. And when Rawlings came, whether we liked it or not, with all the macho thing, he still went. Kufuor came, he did everything, brought us out of HIPIC, he went. Then when you come there, then you don't go, then you ask yourself why. You ask yourself why. And so I believe that I have never lost any sleep at all about our ability to win. But I'm not saying we should be complacent.
Okay.
I don't want to say Agyemang or anything, no. I'm not saying we should be complacent. I am saying that judging by what this government has done, this president has done, how he's carried himself, how he's done what he has done, I don't think that my friend stands any chance at all. In fact, if anything at all, I believe that the margin of winning, of victory, will be a lot more than it was the previous time when he was the incumbent. Okay. And when you are an incumbent and you are beaten by over 1 million votes, then you don't think you have done very well. So okay. I have no problems about that at all. Yes. We have to work very, very hard because nobody is sleeping. If you sleep, and if you don't say I am, nobody will say thou art. Let the people know. In the past, we were not good at selling ourselves and doing things that we have done. But we learn, and we are also learning, and we will do what we have.
Now let's head to the Central Region, and former NDC chairman of the Ewutu Senya West Constituency, Simon Dodu, has defected to the MPP. According to him, it will be hypocritical on his part not to support President Akufo-Addo's bid for another term in office, as several of his family members and relatives of fellow NDC members have benefited from a number of policies implemented by the MPP administration. Simon Dodu made the statement when he joined the First Lady Rebecca Akufo-Addo on her tour of parts of the Central Region to canvass votes for President Akufo-Addo and the MPP in the upcoming elections.
Cast your bedding unto Nana, for he cares for you. Cast your bedding for Nei, for he cares for you. Haya, Joboy, for more for Nana. Me buy a chair so my passing bibia. Bibia besi bia no anya mistake. Magire se onyango ponje hye. Osankafo se bibia wanebre. Abusuafo ne ho ne se bebre no munemi. Se na me yamanyoko bi dwam treni wa ha. Na ebre du se awutuman ne se nyaman. Ye trans ne adwene. Enya manyosam asam na ye gina ha kan. Na mo ye hye nipa owani so ade hunu papa. A wodwe omanfo ho ne wo asetena ho. Fi senior high. Ye mu bi ji ho achenye. 2016, ye namni ebo de ro se entimi nya yi. Me na wo ka se me ba wo nya ho mfaso na wo mpa we na opede en. Abusuafo me be se me kasa bebre. Ensam no egu ho se kode ni ameka chemo ane se ya be na ya ba. Ye ba be bo na adodankwa Akufo-Addo His Excellency. Ani na George Anda Chidom aye campaign.
So that's Simon Dodu, is a former NDC Ewutu Senya West constituency chairman. Correspondent Kojo Nyako has been following this. He joins us via Zoom now. So Kojo, first of all, translate what the former chairman was saying to us.
Well, so the former chairman, Simon Dodu, has been chairman for that constituency for the past 8 years, a considerable number of years in the constituency. What he has basically been saying is that in 2016, he and the NDC campaigned against the free senior high school policy. And so they said that that was not going to be possible. But they have stayed back and watched Nana Addo execute that policy. And today, some of his children and his nephews and nieces are beneficiaries of this free SHS policy. And so he does not see the reason why they wouldn't join the Akufo-Addo administrations to seek a second term to do 4 more, as he has been touting. And so that's basically what he's been saying.
And Kojo, defections of this nature are very common around this time of the year. But how are the Ewutu Senya West constituents reacting to this particular development in the constituency?
Well, so this very chairman has been speaking, and he says that the Ewutu Senya West constituency is fond of changing members of parliament every 4 years. But he feels that this time they should give the current member of parliament, Nenyi George Anda, another term to do more, because they have seen the number of developmental projects that are currently ongoing. Hitherto, he explains that that has not been so. So he sees something positive with the current administration as well as the member of parliament who is currently there. And so that is why he's saying that they should really vote for them. But if you look at this very constituency very well, it's going to be a constituency to watch, especially because you see the other opposing candidate very strong on the ground and all of that. So this defection comes as a serious blow to the NDC, and it might have some considerable consequences on this election. He did not come alone, but he came with other party members to also join him to campaign for the incumbent member of parliament there and the MPP as well.
Clearly, the NDC is disappointed by his defection. But what about the MPP executives there? Are they looking at him with a side eye, skeptical of his motives and intentions? Or are they, welcoming him with open arms?
Well, I think Simon Dodu suspects so. And he says that there are some people who defect. They come to a particular party, and then they come, and then within a twinkling of an eye, they go back. But he is coming for good. He has come to stay, and they should really welcome him, because he's not coming and would be returning. He is there to stay. And so that is what really he has explained as far as the suspicions people even have when other people defect to the political. But they have been hailing the fact that he's brought some verve, some energy, some kind of enthusiasm, and he obviously might have some secrets from the other political party, NDC, and so they feel that we're near to their benefit. So they have hailed the move. The first lady has been in the constituency for quite a while. She has been campaigning in the central region for some time past, and so it came as some good news to them.
All right, many thanks for that update. Richard Kojonyako is a correspondent in the Central Region. You're watching Election Brief with me, Arbo Kumson. There are more stories ahead. Don't go away. We'll be right back. You're welcome back to Election Brief. Now, the new Patriotic Party in the Buni East region has devised new strategies to aid their campaign in rural communities ahead of the 2020 general elections. Regional Chairman Thomas Edu-Apia, after receiving a donation of motorbikes by the Techiman MCE, told JoyNews that the party would not be complacent as it works towards maximizing its seats from 5 to 9. There's more in this report by Anas Sabit.
The new Patriotic Party in the Buni East region has devised new strategies to help the party win more seats in the region. Amongst the strategies is the party's quest to intensify its campaigns in the remote and rural areas. To achieve this feat, the party needs logistics including motorbikes to aid its community engagements. Regional Chairman Thomas Edu-Apia tells JoyNews that for him, no seat is safe for the party, and as such, the party will not be complacent ahead of the December polls.
As a regional chairman, I don't go into any elections in a complacency manner, and I've never termed any seat in the region as a safe seat for my party. I've declared all the 11 seats as a battle zone seats, and we need to work hard for that. We are on course. I and my team, we are on the ground. We are doing very well, and our message has gone down very well to the electors, and the electors has also promised that they will look up to the new Patriotic Party for the good job that His Excellency the President has done.
To support this cause, the Municipal Chief Executive for Techiman, Mr. John Kofi Duina, has donated 7 motorbikes and other logistics to aid the Techiman South campaign.
Looking at the demand, which way people come to the PC, demanding bicycles, motorbikes, and other logistics, I must come to his aid and support him. Although he's doing very well, he's one of the parliamentary candidate who is doing very well. But as municipal chief executive, I must do everything within my means to support him. That's why I have donated the 7 motorbikes, including 5 drums of fuel to support his campaign cause.
This move, according to the regional chairman, Chairman Toman, will go a long way to help retain the Techiman South seat.
Let me express my sincere thanks to the municipal chief executive for Techiman South. He has presented about 7 motorbikes to the parliamentary candidate for Techiman South in the name of Agyemang. The MC has done well because we are in an election year and we need to move. You know, Techiman South constituency, there are some of the electoral areas and the police stations when you don't get motorbikes, you find it difficult to enter those constituencies. So with the presentation that he has done today, I thank him very much and I do appreciate it as a regional chairman.
A similar donation was made in the Techiman North constituency, where the district chief executive, Mr. Peter Mensah, supported the parliamentary candidate with 5 motorbikes, T-shirts and megaphones. The DCE indicated that for the party to maintain power, party faithfuls must continue to support their various parliamentary candidates.
Securing another victory means that all hands on deck. And so as chief executive, I have mobilized these logistics, motorbikes, T-shirts and megaphones to aid and facilitate our chances of retaining our seat in 2020. Everybody should try as much as possible to galvanize some form of support, either in kind or cash, to support the parliamentary candidates within your catchment area or jurisdiction. And that is the motivation for this donation this afternoon.
The new Patriotic Party is aiming at maximizing its seats in the Bono East region from 5 to 9. Reporting for JoyNews, Anas Sabit, Techiman.
And speaking of donations, Director of Communications at the Presidency, Agyemang, has donated to the Infantsiman constituency towards the December 7 general elections. The items include a cash of 100,000 cedis, 10 motorbikes, T-shirts and posters, and the items are to help in the constituency's campaign. Sitting Member of Parliament for the area, Eko Kwanza Hayford, as you know, was killed by armed robbers last month. After campaigning in parts of the constituency, the MPP leadership settled on the widow, Ophelia Hayford, to contest on the ticket of the party. Presenting the cash and items to the leadership of the MPP in the constituency, Agyemang was hopeful it would help the party propagate the good works of the Akufo-Addo-led government for a resounding victory in the upcoming elections.
One of the persons Amaka is in Komaka from time to time. It just schedules into me Shabibi, but I mean from time to time Obiana it mean is in Komopa na or the late Member of Parliament. I mean the most important thing I'm putting behind the Richard Kain, you're currently 19 seats out of 23. Now it wouldn't be right that we lose any of the seats in the run-up to the 2020 elections. I mean, President Debia Oka there say win a banner say Oko Parliament. That's a Ninkofuno. Definitely the mandate he has now, it wouldn't be as strong as he would want it to be. So whatever it is we can do, to make sure that Infantsiman we retain the seat and we make sure that Emami Ophelia becomes the next Member of Parliament for Infantsiman. We are going to do it.
You're welcome back to Election Brief. Now, this work that we do, I'm talking about journalism, particularly investigative journalism. And most often in Ghana and elsewhere, it exposes us to dangers. I'm sure you've heard reports of journalists being harassed or even beaten. Well, during elections in particular, reports of journalists being assaulted by overzealous supporters of political parties are rife. As International Day to End Impunity Against Journalists is observed globally today, Monday, the National Media Commission is warning against attacks on journalists with a few weeks to the December 7 polls. Executive Secretary George Sapon says journalists are backed by law to execute their duties in the public space without hindrance from anyone, including security officials. He spoke on JoyNews' legal show, The Law, with Samson Ladi Ayenini.
3 key things I would suggest. Number one, is that let all of us try as much as we can to work with the arrangements made by the Electoral Commission. And when I say arrangements made by the Electoral Commission, I'm specifically talking about the electoral rules as set by law, particularly CI 127, which clearly designates for us who is in charge of what and what each person can do. You have already pointed out in one of your write-ups about the protection that one gets if you are accredited, for example, as a journalist. Going beyond that, any journalist within the general vicinity of a polling station or covering any kind of election is entitled to all the protections of the law. If anybody thinks that that journalist has done anything wrong, the person can resort to the law to seek remedy. Let me quickly add the second line, which is that to acknowledge the contribution of government, the Ministry of Information has been working with us closely to develop a framework and a mechanism for the safety and protection of journalists. We're working together very actively on the safety of journalists. The advantage in that is that the government itself, through the ministry, is taking a considerable lead role in ensuring that journalists are safe, and that where any threat on their safety comes from any element within the state, not only would the journalists, the media house, NMC, and journalist associations be involved, but that the government itself would be actively involved in seeking justice and whenever it is needed, sanctions for the perpetrator. The third thing that we are working on is a technology-based system for tracking incidents and the events around the country, particularly on polling stations. And one of the things that we are hoping to do is that we will also be able to capture any incidents of attack against journalists.
So you can get more legal insights on the law every Sunday afternoon from 2 p.m. to 3 p.m. But at a ceremony earlier today to commemorate the day, President of the Ghana Journalists Association, Afil Moni, said attacking journalists is an affront to democracy.
Ventilating one's concerns or articulating one's anger over attacks against journalists come with heavy price. But our system permits that. And this does not obscure the fact that we have challenges. Challenges over attacks, and sometimes of scandalous frequency against journalists. So we have a weapon, and the greatest weapon is to expose such attacks, make the loudest noise about such attacks with the hope that it will prompt officialdom, it will prompt the law and order community, it will prompt the citizenry to rally to the defense of journalists. Because journalists are the custodian of freedom. They are also the safeguards of democracy. So once you attack them, then you are endangering our democracy and compromising our freedom. So it is said that a critical element of rule of law is confidence in the law. So confidence in the law should not wobble, but confidence in the law should double, especially as where it was election 2020, which comes with a lot of risks to which journalists are exposed. So we are making a special appeal. In fact, we are demanding from officialdom, we are demanding from law and order community, we are demanding from all stakeholders that they should extend a special cover, a more effective cover of protection to journalists. Because an attack against them will spell incalculable consequences for this nation.
Now, the NDC running mate, Professor Jane Nana Opoku-Agyemang, has just wrapped up a tour of the Oti region. JoyNews' Peter Senu was with her on the tour. He joins us with more. Peter, so tell us about some of the issues that she's been raising whilst campaigning in the region.
Right. As we know, the running mate for the NDC ended her tour, I think, a day ago in the OT region. The main issue she's been raising is a vote for the NDC to come back to power would mean a vote for the future for the children of residents in the region. I think that the NDC manifesto is a manifesto for the people who are taking primary health care into consideration, and a lot of consultations were done before the manifesto came up. So it's really the manifesto emanating from the people, and so the people should repose their confidence in the NDC and then vote them back into power come December 7th. At Dambaye and Ketekrachi, the running mate for the NDC has been taking the call on the people that when they come back to power, they would put a bridge across the river Oti for them to make transportation easier. This comes, I think, just about a week. The president, Nana Addo Dankwa Akufo-Addo, also came to make the same promise. So it's been that for the people, that is what they will be doing. At Paza, which was her last stop in the region, which, saw a larger crowd than the other areas we visited. She called on the people to vote for the NDC, for which reason that they would have to, provide for give them potable water, district hospital, fix their, town roads for them. And so it's been a vote for the NDC will mean a trust, the future of the people, the children of the people who have a better future. Talking about the free SHS that uncompleted projects have been left, as they allege that the MPP have abandoned all their ongoing projects when they came to office. So it's been campaign for NDC, which will see a brighter future for their children in the region.
Clearly, the same issues they raise everywhere they go on the campaign trail. But you live in the area, you know the ground very well. Tell us, what are the issues that the people want addressed, the people of the OT region? What do they want addressed?
Right. The OT region, as I mentioned some time ago, is one of the deprived regions. Apart from maybe the northern regions, OT region, this section of the OT region, then the Volta North, has been one of the deprived regions. If you talk about road, other infrastructure, talk about education, hospitals, in fact, access to potable water is a major concern. And so everywhere we went following the political campaign trails, it's been our roads, water, and health issues. And so if all these things are fixed, really, it will inure to the benefit of which government will do it for them. And if you talk about food, carting of food stuff from here to the south, the Eastern Corridor is one of the trunk roads that most drivers ply. These heavy cargoes use. And so when they fix these roads, trust me, whichever government does this for the people in the region would have to win the trust of that government. And so we are only looking forward to whatever happens now, between now and December 7th. Of course, we have seen a lot of shortcutting for projects to be started. As to whether or not these things would be done between now, or we'll see a significant start of these projects before the elections, is another issue. But we are only hoping that residents will move to the polls and make their choices as they desire, to see which government will give the mandate to come and then fulfill their promises for them. Okay,
thank you so much. That's Peter Senu. He's OT regional correspondent with that update on the wrap of NDC running mate Professor Nana Jane Opoku-Agyemang's tour of the OT region. Let's head to Parliament now, and the minority there is demanding the immediate release of the certified copy of the final voters' register. The law requires the Electoral Commission to do so at least 60 days before any major election. But with just 35 days to the December 7 elections, political parties and candidates are yet to receive their copies. Minority Leader Haruna Idrisu has been speaking about this particular issue, but Majority Leader Oseiche Mensah Bonsu says there must be a reason for the delay. He, however, charged the EC to expedite measures to submit the register. Joseph Opoku-Gapo joins us with more from Parliament. So, Joseph, tell us, who else has been speaking on the matter, and specifically, what are their concerns?
The debate on the issue having to do with the register is very much along party lines. While the NDC is convinced that the EC is clearly in breach of the laws and that shouldn't be the case, the majority makes the point that this is actually not the first time that the EC has breached the law. In fact, those on the majority side make the argument that since Dr. Farijan's time, no electoral commissioner has been able to meet that requirement that within in a maximum of 60 days, in a minimum of 60 days, the said register should be submitted. And so for the majority leader, Chairman, suppose we should have a situation where the political parties should be working with the Electoral Commission to find a way to still do their necessary verification, even with a limited number of days before the election, that the said register will be submitted, rather than criticizing them and virtually bastardizing the Commission by its inability to meet this deadline as is required in the electoral laws.
Sir Joseph Opoku-Gakpo is our parliamentary correspondent, and apologies for that poor sound there. This is Election Brief with me, Araba Kumson. You're still here on Election Brief. Now, let's turn our attention outside Ghana and front-running candidates in tomorrow's elections in the United States are wrapping up their campaigns ahead of D-Day. Democratic candidate Joe Biden is spending the remainder of his campaign in Pennsylvania, a battleground state that has become increasingly significant to himself and President Donald Trump, who held 5 rallies in 5 states yesterday. And stay with us. We are your election headquarters. We'll bring you updates of that election in the United States. Tomorrow is less than 24 hours. Ours is 35 days away, but the U.S. polls is just under 24 hours away. Stay with your election headquarters for all the updates on that election. I'm Araba Kumson. Thanks for staying with us here on Election Brief. We're back again on your TV screens tomorrow, same time. Have a good night.